This edition of MacVoices is brought to you by Text Expander by Smile, my most used productivity utility. Find out more and download a free demo at textexpander.com. MacVoices is in Las Vegas for NAB. I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we're in front of the FiLMic booth. It's back there and it's very busy, so we brought Neill of FiLMic out here to talk to us. Neill, it's good to see you again.
Great to see you, Chuck. How you been?
I've been great, and we should tell folks that we are recording this with FiLMic. So the product works.
Thank you.
So what are we doing new this year here at NAB?
Okay, so we have two really exciting announcements. One, on the FiLMic Pro side, is we've added support for the Freefly Cinema Robot, which is potentially the best gimbal on the market. And for us, it's the fourth gimbal integration layer that we've done, starting with the DJI Osmo Mobile 1, then the Mobile 2, then the Xeon Smooth 4, which we think was another rung up the ladder. And Freefly, who has a pedigree doing a lot of high-end broadcast production equipment for television and film, I think their movement into the mobile space is further validation of the fact that mobile's really arrived and it's prime time.
You're talking about professional gear here, and we're talking about an app that runs on iPhones and iPads. And this means that equipment now is suitable for professional work?
I would think so. I mean, you don't get much more professional than Steven Soderbergh or Claude Lelouch, two Oscar-winning directors who have shot feature films on iPhones and FiLMic Pro in the last 12 months. We're also seeing a lot of commercial production, documentary production, not to mention small business. So there's a use case for almost anybody with, we feel, FiLMic Pro and smartphones. Even if you're using a Red or an Ari Alexa, grab a couple smartphones from the crew, put FiLMic Pro on them and shoot behind-the-scenes content, or have a B or C camera going for almost no money at all.
Well, in using FiLMic for what I do, I mean, it's obviously, I'm not ready to say overkill, but it gives me a lot of capabilities I wouldn't otherwise have. And I love using it because it's so simple and it has never let me down.
And it's lightweight. I mean, if you're running and gunning and trying to cover a show as big as NAB and going from North Hall, South Hall, Central Hall, back to North Hall, you don't want to be carrying a big 40-pound ENG camera on your shoulder the whole time. So this lets you move nimbly and get quality that is going to be virtually indistinguishable. And what we've found is there are a handful of videos out there, like half of this is shot on the Canon C200, half of it's shot on FiLMic Pro. Can you tell the difference between the shots? And the main point is, if your narrative is worth anything at all, within the first 10 seconds, your audience has already stopped trying to discern which shot is which, and they're engrossed in the story. So if you're a talented storyteller, then just pick your weapon and you're going to do fine.
It's something, as tech people, we all, what did you shoot it with? How did you shoot it? All that. And it's like asking, what typewriter or what word processor did you use for the Great American Novel? Right. It doesn't matter. It's the story and the product at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think every photographer hates being asked, what lens did you use? What was your aperture setting? As if their composition, their eye, their talent played no part in the shot. And as long as somebody buys the lens and chooses the same f-stop, they're going to get the same magical result. So, improve your skill set first and then find the equipment that works for you.
But that said, you still, once you have that skill set or are developing it, you still have to have the tools that support it.
Right, and actually I think there might be a misconception in the marketplace that FiLMic Pro is a more affordable facsimile of what a more expensive camera might be able to do. But what we're learning is that there's actually a difference in the experience of shooting with mobile. And that is for non-trained professionals, either amateur actors or documentary subjects or newscasts on the street. People are much more comfortable in front of a mobile device because they spend a third of their life essentially in front of a mobile device, and they actually ham it up for selfies. So they almost relax more than they would in any other situation. And directors from Soderbergh to Sean Baker to Sally Ann Massimina, who we're interviewing in about an hour here at the FiLMic Pro booth, have all commented that's groundbreaking. Getting more compelling performances out of your talent is more valuable to a director than how much did my camera cost.
And having the power of FiLMic Pro accessible to so many people because it is an app is, that encourages young filmmakers to do things that, 5, 6, 7 years ago they wouldn't even have thought about trying.
Yeah, and I think the world wants and needs to hear the stories from those young filmmakers, because as we're seeing in the theatrical system, it's essentially like comic book hero movies that are a safe investment if you're going to pony up $100 to $300 million, because that's what sells overseas, because it isn't dialogue driven. So that's fine for Hollywood as a business, but it isn't fine for us as audience members, where film and cinema can teach us about the world, can teach us about life, can teach us about people that we may not know or understand until we get a glimpse into their worldview. So I'm passionately committed to trying to enable first-generation filmmakers to tell unique and compelling stories that the world hasn't seen. And I think there's a thirst for that now more than ever, and hope that something akin to the early 70s American film movement, which was inspired by the French New Wave and 16mm film, is going to be represented in the theater over the next 5 to 10 years.
So we're talking a lot about the accessibility of FiLMic Pro. And so I want to make sure that folks know they can get it in the App Store. It runs on their iPhone or their iPad. And it goes for the princely sum of?
It's actually now $15.99. It was $14.99. And the reason for that is we have one in-app purchase, which is a cinematographer kit, which lets you shoot in a variety of gamma curves, including flat and log. And they were both priced at $14.99. And so what we were realizing is people would buy the app and then immediately be confronted with an in-app purchase that was the same price, and it would lead to confusion like, wait, I just thought I bought the app. So the net cost is the same, but now it's a clear distinction between whether you're buying the main product or whether you want to do an additional investment for the gamma curves.
But that's not much of an investment, let's face it.
$30 to shoot log in the device that you already have in your pocket. Yeah, we still think it's a screaming deal. But there are people who are used to the app ecosystem and think $1.99 might be more appropriate. So.
No. Just keep doing what you're doing and keep improving it the way you've been doing it, please. Because there are those I'm not one of them, but there are those of us out there that want to keep on seeing those enhancements and additions.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing gets us more excited outside of the content that our users create than innovating. So I think we have a good reputation and history of doing that, and we're only going to continue to do that. And that leads me to mention the second big announcement that we're making at NAB, and that is that we are in the last stage of an audio recorder app called FiLMic Audio. That is the audio framework taken out of FiLMic Pro, put into its own standalone field recorder device, with the added benefit of being able to sync your audio track from the audio recorder to your video within FiLMic Pro. So if you wanted to, say, have a B camera operator on this shot that's 150 feet away taking a wide shot of the entire back end of Central Hall, it could get the audio feed from a second iOS device that I could have in my pocket with a lav clipped right here. Synced audio, already done, you import it into the timeline and your work's already over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think that that's going to be really exciting, and it's going to open up a whole new catalog of shots for mobile filmmakers where they don't have to be tethered to their subject within 5 to 6 feet. So exciting times.
Very much. Is that it's not released yet?
It's not for release yet. It will be out before Mojo Fest, which is the first week in June. And price, logo, all of that stuff is still to be determined.
Understood.
But we are demoing the app over at the booth. Our audio lead, Harris, is here. And if you get a chance to get a walkthrough from him, I think you'd be quite impressed.
I definitely will get a walkthrough from him.
Oh, that sounds great.
Neil, thank you so much.
Chuck,
Good to
it's
see you.
always a pleasure.
Yes,
Look forward
yes.
to seeing you next year.
I look forward to it, if not sooner.
Okay,
If not sooner.
that sounds great. Anytime.
Folks, we'll have more from NAB in Las Vegas. I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.